right, well, good evening, everybody. Nice to have all of you here. Thanks for coming. This is an annual event that we do in the Music Business Department called an Evening with Entrepreneurs, and every year it's a different type of entrepreneur that we bring in different areas of the industry, and we just had the idea this year to focus it on nonprofit arts administration. We now have a course in nonprofit arts administration. My guess is that some of you, maybe many of you, don't really know what a nonprofit organization is, but perhaps the panel will tell you about that. One thing I can assure you, it's not an organization that is not allowed to make a profit. But there are some rules that go with it, and there are some very good reasons to start a nonprofit organization. So what we have tonight, our moderator is our instructor of our arts administration course, Kim Dawson. Any of you in her class? In Kim's class? Good. Okay, a couple of you are joining us. And Kim, we brought her onto TSAC class because she's very well connected in the nonprofit arts community in Boston and has a very strong background, knows a lot about it. And she assembled a terrific panel. These are all women who have started, are the founders of nonprofit arts organizations. You're going to hear a lot more about them and all of the journey that they have had in starting and building their organizations into successful organizations. I was surprised. I was talking with one of the ladies on the way over who told me that the organization's been in existence for 27 years, So, I mean, you can build a business that lasts that long. That means that you must be doing something right. So, this is Berklee College of Music. It's always good to start an event with a little music. And so to do that, we have one of our students who just started. She's a freshman. She came here. She's a Boston native, East Boston. She's on a full scholarship. And she's coming here. She's going to do a little bit of a performance for you. But the reason that the connection with her and this event is that she was a student in one of the organizations that one of the women heads up. And so that's how we made the connection. So let's bring her out. How about a nice round of applause for Angelina Botticelli.
Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thankful to be here. Yeah, this is a song I wrote not too long ago called Better Days, so hope you guys like it. How many times do I have to put up a wall? Sometimes I'd rather be all alone than answer your call. I know you've been hyping me up, but sometimes it feels like you're waiting on my fall. Oh, it sucks to say so, but I don't know if you're in it for it all. Oh, why you talking to me, strange? I wouldn't wanna waste no time. Oh, all the shady rearranging, yeah. Let's take it face to face, offline. Oh yeah. Oh, I got too much going on to be wasting time. Oh. It's a shame that you brought it this far. I didn't think we'd take it. Oh. Anyways, I would really enjoy if people would just make themselves clear and tell me if you're gonna show up or maybe just blow up in my face. It feels great. Oh, I would really like to know so I can have better days. Oh, yeah, better days. Oh, yeah, better days. I'm searching for better days. Oh, oh, 'cause I would really like, I would really like, I would really, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would really like to know so I can have better days. Thank you. Word. Cool, so this next one, I have one more, and it's called Frequency. And it's super new, so bear with me. But I really wanted to perform it today because it means a lot to me, and it came from a really deep part of my heart. And yeah, I think being a person in general, but being a woman specifically, sometimes I doubt myself a lot, and I go through a lot of different emotions, and I like to use songwriting and just like writing in general to channel that. So this song is called Frequency, and it's a little bit about how I feel sometimes. I keep to myself, I know what it feels like to be taken for granted. Have all of these plans, oh, craziness. No wonder they've been saying this. Well, can you see I've been kicking it? Well, what would it take? West Side, now wanna be with you all night, yeah. Alright, you know it's all a life though. Big bag, I'm talking polo all day. These changes are good. I've been in the neighborhood. Oh. Frequently there have been frequencies I wish to keep with me. Oh. Frequently there have been frequencies I wish to keep with me. Oh, and they say you should be more realistic. Oh, take a picture, let it stick in your head. Make your own bed, laying it for the one. Keep it straight for me 2 times. Getting lucky on you 3 times. 777. I got no time to lose. They said I shouldn't be talking so loud. I can't get ahead of myself. Can't get ahead of myself. Can't get ahead of myself. They say I shouldn't be talking so loud. I can't get ahead of myself. Can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. Oh, but frequently there have been frequencies I'd like to keep with me. Oh, frequently there have been frequencies I wish to keep. I wish to keep with me. I wish to keep. I wish to keep. I wish to keep with me. Oh. I wish to keep with me, keep with me. Thank you.
How about it one more time for Angelina? A few people I should thank, but first of all, I guess maybe I should tell you who I am. I'm Don Gorder. I'm the chair of the music business department. Because you're saying, who is that guy? But I want to say thanks to a few people. We have we get great support from our dean for these events. This is Dean Darla Hanley over here. And recognize a couple of our music business faculty who are here. Stephanie Keller, Todd Gardner back there. And of course our staff, our department project manager, Andrew Lynn. So, off we go. Let's take it from here. I'm going to introduce now the moderator of the panel, and she will introduce the panel. So please come on out, Kim Dawson.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My name is Kim Dawson, and I teach arts administration in the music business department. And I'm thrilled that we were able to put together a panel of these phenomenal women who are doing phenomenal work in Boston. We're going to get into that in just a minute. I have a couple of quick announcements and a little bit of business to take care of before we get into the discussion. The first is, I know Dawn mentioned this, but it's really exciting to have Angelina here performing for us because two of us on stage, Madeline and myself, have known Angelina since she was 6 years old. She started taking programs at Zoomix, which is one of the organizations we're going to talk about, and we've been able to see her grow, and now seeing her here at Berkeley is really special, and being able to share the stage with her tonight in this capacity is really nice. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Also, just so folks know, one of our panelists, Hilken, has to leave a little bit early because she has a gig tonight. So she's going to be scooting out about 8 o'clock because she's got a gig over in Cambridge. She doesn't do it to be rude, but I just wanted to let you all know because she's working. So thank you, too, for making the time to be here. And lastly, in the end, there will be a period of time that's a question and answer session from the audience. We ask that if you have any personal solicitations or things that are a bit more personal in nature for any of the panelists, that you do that kind of to the side once the more open Q&A is done. Okay? Thanks so much. So we're going to get into it, and actually I'm going to have each of the panelists introduce both themselves and the organization that they are here representing. So we'll start here with Shamba Debinga.
Good evening. My name is Shamba Yanja Debinga, and I'm the founding artistic director of Origination Cultural Arts Center.
And can you tell us a bit about what Origination does?
Yes, at Origination, we utilize dance as a tool to empower young people, one dancer at a time. And we've been doing that for the past 25 years.
Hi, everybody. My name is Madeline Stachinsky. It's an honor to be here. I'm the founder and director of an organization called Zoomix, based in East Boston, Massachusetts. It's an organization that offers young people the opportunity to come into a space that is safe space and to explore everything they would like to do and create and be through music-based programming. So it's everything from songwriting to music production to radio production, video production, et cetera. And I've been doing this work now for 28 years and feel absolutely blessed to have found work that was so meaningful. So thanks for having us.
I'm Hilken Mancini. I am co-founder and program director of Girls Rock Campaign Boston, which is a nonprofit organization based in a supportive community for youth, non-binary, gender non-conforming youth, to find a supportive community through musical education and performance, and that's what we do. And we started it in 2010, so it's going to be 10 years.
I'm jealous. Okay. Good evening. My name is my name is Catherine Morris, founder of Boston Art Music Soul Fest. We're a nonprofit organization that strives to break down racial and social barriers to arts, music, and culture, particularly for artists and communities of color across greater Boston. And we do that in a few ways. Our most famous way is through our annual summer festival in Franklin Park, happening during the month of June, during Black Music Appreciation Month, as well as a host of events, including professional development for mid-career artists, and then co-productions with other organizations and nonprofits across the city.
How long have you been in existence?
The organization, according to the IRS, is that we were founded in 2016, but we really started doing our work May 4th, 2015.
I wanted to point that out because I think there's a really interesting range of how long these organizations have all been around, both from something that's relatively new but already making a huge mark in terms of the cultural landscape of the city, as well as organizations that have been here for 25 and almost 30 years. So we're going to hear, and right in the middle at about 10 years, so we're going to hear a really interesting range of experience at different stages of each of these nonprofits' lives. So I'm hoping, actually we'll go back to the beginning of the stage over here, that each of you could talk a little bit about yourself personally, about where you were in your life that made you want to start your own nonprofit.
How much time do we have? So, good evening. I'm very excited to be here this evening. I am the child of 2 Congolese immigrants. My parents fled here from the Congo many, many years ago in order to create the best life possible for my siblings and I and my parents. And growing up, I watched my parents do a lot of giving back when we were younger. We didn't come from a lot of money. We worked really, really hard. My parents worked really hard, and we were living in Cambridge, and they were studying at Harvard University at the same time. And during that time, and trying to raise all of us, we have a big family, there are 9 of us, they spent a lot of time bringing families back from the Congo and helping them with their papers and getting jobs and getting homes and getting into school. And so I watched them, and I was young, but I watched them give a lot. They gave and gave and gave, but never got anything in return. No money, no cards, nothing. And so I didn't want to be anything like them because I thought it was a waste of time and I needed to make some money. And so years, passed, and I remember my dad saying that if you give to one person and that person then gives to someone else, then you're doing what you were put on this universe to do. And so I wanted to create a space. When we finally moved to Boston, we lived in Cambridge, Mattapan, and then Roxbury. When we moved to Roxbury, I felt something was missing in terms of the dance opportunities and the arts that were in that area at the time. And so I wanted to create a space that young people could come to and learn about the performing arts, learn about dance through African culture and traditions, because that's how I was raised. And so with the help of my family, I was able to start Origination. And I started it with 5 young people one summer. And at that time, it was pretty emotional because I didn't feel like anyone was invested and really wanted to be a part of what I was doing. And so there were a lot of tears shed. And my goal that summer was to have at least 30 young people by the end of the summer. And I had over 30 young people at the end of the summer. And it just continued to take off. And it allowed me to utilize the arts to do what I love to do. I love dance, and I love serving young people and helping them find themselves and become better versions of themselves, utilizing the arts. And so that's where I was. And I was in a place where I really wanted to give back as much as possible. And this has allowed me to do that.
Madeline?
Okay, I have to think back here. So I'm the oldest child of 2 girls, and my mom died when I was real little. And so I was a caretaker from the time I was 8. I cared for my father, I cared for my sister. That was just my role. And when we settled into Boston, I got very active in the local music scene, which at the time was very youth-driven. And I think, there's a number of different things that influence the decisions that I've made and the work that I've fallen into. I really feel like it was sort of, there's a greater purpose, I think, in the world in terms of how I've fallen into the work that I do and how it's evolved. But some of the things that inspired the early work had to do with the political scene going on both in Boston and internationally. It felt like a very violent time. So we founded our organization in 1991, but 1990 was the most violent time in Boston's history. There were 152 homicides in Boston that year. There had been a major increase in the late 80s into the early 90s in gun violence in Boston. There were lots of reasons for that, but I won't go into that. But the news was devastating. Hearing that news every day was devastating. And at that time, we were also involved in the Gulf War, so the international news was also devastating. And it just felt like people were trying to solve, or everybody was basically coming at solving problems through violence. And it felt like society was just kind of lost, and that there had to be ways of course correcting, and in a very little, like in an effort to try to do something very small, my then boyfriend and I decided we were going to try and do a project in the summer of 1991, which was going to be a music project with local kids. And we had no idea what the hell we were getting ourselves into. And be careful what you wish for, people, because it can become a life's journey. But we recruited a group of local young people. That was an enormous adventure, and then got them involved in doing a music program. Our curriculum changed like 7 times in the first 2 weeks, probably, based on the reality of who we were serving. But we ended up having a life, I think for every person involved in that first summer, it was a life-changing experience. And we dealt with real drama that summer that was impacting those young people. I was educated unbelievably in terms of what kinds of things young people were facing and what they felt that they had as opportunities and access, and what I thought they had as opportunities to access were really out of alignment. And so it just began a dialogue. And at the end of that summer, I thought we were done, like that project's over, okay, that was fun. And they said, what are we doing this fall? And I was like, what do you want to do? Like, we want to keep coming, we want to keep doing this. This is really important to us. And so we kept evolving. And 28 years later, we're still evolving and trying to figure out how to utilize the arts to uplift individuals and community.
Hilken? Well, so the question is a bit about where were at personally in your life when you decided to start your nonprofit.
Right. So I think that I had realized that my music career was over, and I felt as if 30. I know, but I was facing 40, and I was like, all right, you didn't make it, and you're not signed anymore. I had a record deal in the 90s and all this stuff, and so I realized at 40, I was like, I don't have kids, and I want to give back. I have all this great gear. I have these Marshall amps and these guitars. This is before eBay. I'm on the road, so I'm like finding great stuff, just amazing guitars, and just buying cool gear and just being on the road for years. So I decided I wanted to give back in a way. But what I didn't realize was there was this camp called the Rock and Roll Camp for Girls in Portland, Oregon, and I went out there and volunteered because I lost my record deal, I created an anti-exercise class called Punk Rock Aerobics. And it was kind of a joke, but it actually ended up becoming a book deal, and I toured it, and we were in the New York Times and Rolling Stone. We got tons of press, and so I did this class, and it was in rock clubs only. It was for the misfit, anti-typical images of beauty, sort of like for the person who doesn't feel good in their body. And it was a perfect mission match for the Rock and Roll Camp for Girls. So as we worked on the video, I was like, I want to give proceeds of the video to the Rock and Roll Camp for Girls because they're totally DIY. They're about the same ethos that we're about. Let's do it. And when I reached out to them, they were like, yeah, totally. Like, we'll take proceeds from your video, but how about coming out here and doing it? And I was like, well, I don't have any money, and I'm not going to Portland, Oregon, so no. But she was like, we have stipends, and we can fly you out here and put you up. And I was like, really? All right, well, So I got on a plane. Little did I know that my whole life would change. And what I saw, what they were doing out there, other than the fact that like Beth Ditto was there and Sleater Kinney's, running the assembly, and like all these amazing women were volunteering there. But just that community, how much those women supported each other, and how they were like, hey, I'm a recording engineer. I'll record your record. Like, oh, you're going on tour? I'm going on tour. Let's go on tour together. I was like, why doesn't Boston have this? Because I had toured with Juliana Hatfield and Tanya Donnelly and these amazing women, and they supported me, but there was nothing like a place to go where you could say to each other, like, hey, I'll loan you my bass, or hey, let's hit the road together. So I came back to Boston, and I was like, I gotta do it, and it took me 5 years. But at 40, I started it, and it's an important thing to me also, because to instill self-esteem into youth, especially at this time, the way the world is, just non-binary, gender non-conforming youth who might feel bad about themselves or feel like where they're going and they're confused, to say, like, you're going to play drums in a week, you're going to play it at a sold-out showcase at Bright Music Hall, you can do this, I believe in you. It's so important, that work, and to me, it just makes me feel like because I didn't have kids and I was so ambitious, you know, and wanted this rock career, like what I'm doing now is so very different, but so fulfilling and actually really a wonderful thing. So I'm really happy about it. All right.
And Catherine.
What's the question?
So if you could talk a little bit about where you were at personally when you decided to start BAMS Fest.
Yeah, how much time we got? Well, wow, where do I start? Boston native, I'll just start there. I'm a MECO kid of being in the school system for about 11 years. For those that don't know MECO, it's one of the most, it's one of the oldest busing systems in the country that takes inner city kids to the suburbs to further education. So if you can imagine a little kid in second grade in a foreign land, the suburbs, and then expected to have good grades, do extracurricular activities, and no one liked them because of their race, and do that every single year until they graduate, that was my world. But it gave me a sense of tolerance of people, but also introduced me to the world of the arts. So I think for me, my key things in terms of a variety of experiences, I always had a radical imagination about just what the arts could do for my peers. And so in high school, I started a social movement organization called Universal Rhythm, and it was the 98 black kids that were in this predominantly white school. And I basically got I got to convince the principal basically to allow me to take over the class period for an hour and do a talent show that sold out in a matter of minutes. So if you can imagine 1,200 students trying to fit into a 100-seat black box theater, that was my world. And that just stuck with me about my ability to mobilize and encourage my peers. And then when I got to college at Temple University, I started off in radio. I wanted to do radio, but radio had changed then. And I took up tourism hospitality management and never worked a day in hotels. But I did events. I knew events. My whole career had prepared me for events. And Philadelphia is an artsy-fartsy city. It's a city of festivals. And I did 7 internships, and there was one internship that changed my life. And that was working for the city of Philadelphia at the Welcome America Festival. And what I appreciated was I was literally thrown into a situation where it's like, we need you to help co-produce the firework concert finale for John Legend and Hall & Oates. And you got 4 weeks to do it. Okay, sure, let's do it. But what was amazing was to see how city government and state government saw the value of how this festival was going to impact tourism, local economy, creative economy, providing jobs for artists, providing opportunity for local businesses. And that totally changed my perspective about the whole point of festivals. So when I came back home, I said, so why doesn't Boston have a festival that does all these things at 30,000 feet, and particularly being that Boston currently is known for, has been known for being the racist city in the world. How can we change the narrative with a festival? And that for me was the moment, was just that looking at what our sister city was doing and how Boston is the ugly stepsister and not doing its job of matching the same energy. And so I wanted to do something that was radical. I wanted to do something that was gonna challenge our mayor and our governor, and I wanted things that were going to reinstill the belief in people that a festival of the scale that I'm imagining could happen for them, and that they deserved it, and that the programming was of a certain quality that they just deserved.
Awesome. I'm going to stick with you because that actually is a nice segue into the next question. So one of the things that I talk about in my class a bit, especially at the beginning, is that every nonprofit needs to have a need that they are filling in society, especially in order to thrive. So nonprofits just can't simply exist. You have to be of service to your constituents in some way. So if you could talk about, I mean, you started to touch on it, obviously, but if you could talk about what you see the need being of that your organization serves, and how I think in all of these cases, these organizations have thrived because you identified something that and a service that was needed through what you're doing. So if you could talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm a huge fan of history and research and facts, because no one can argue with you if you have all that information. And what I learned in Boston, there had been basically a 30-year deficit in cultural programming for communities of color. And so where the festival currently is, which is Franklin Park, it's the largest park in the city, but it's the last to be fixed. It just got $28 million, and $24 million of that is just to fix roads. So my question is, what happens to the other couple of million, right? So when I learned that there was a lack of programming on a consistent basis that the city was supposed to manage, that has an effect on the communities that surround that park. And I started to do my homework and just having casual conversation with the generations that have lived around there about what has happened. And I started to see a frustration, an anger, a disappointment, a lack of belief that the city had anything to offer communities of color across arts and culture. And that's across all generations, even the current one. And I said, there's the need, automatically, is that the largest park that serves the biggest population doesn't have true access and opportunity to high quality programming that they deserve, so how can I serve the need? So it basically, in that process of designing the festival, then I also learned through 4 years of doing programming across most neighborhoods is that artists of color were facing a lot of issues. Personally, professionally, lack of resources, lack of opportunity to be on stage. And so for me, it was not only is this festival important, but you also have to develop the people who want to stay, work, and contribute. So it went from a festival just being that to now, in order to do a high quality thing, you have to prepare the people to do it. So now we're trying to work out with local artists, and I mean artists that really want to stay here and work here and thrive here, even with all the things going on, venues closing down, lack of financial support. We're really trying to get at their personal development and their professional development. Personally, I believe if you can help with both, then the work is better. So if someone is going through personal issues, it affects their creative process, which then affects the output. So with any human being that's gifted to create and makes a choice to make that a full-time career, we support wholeheartedly.
Excellent. Hilken, can you speak about it a little bit too?
I just really can relate to what you're saying as far as what's happening in Boston. It's so hard to be an artist, and I feel like I almost decided that Boston was about science and money, and that I was just making the decision to stay here because I couldn't deal with, I don't know, New York and LA seemed really difficult because I had stayed there doing projects like teaching punk up for someone at the Paradise, or, you know, it's just hard to play music